Having completed the class 2, we're now ready to move on to class 1. Remember when we surveyed, we noticed that we had to cut a little subtractively from the premolar. We'll do that in this video. But just like we did in the first video we just watched on prepping, we oriented first. We are going to orient our burr to the mouth using the cast as a fiducial marker and using this analyzing rod with some relative form. Look at that. It hits the line angle perfectly. Couches between those two teeth, giving me a good XY and Z almost. It gets me oriented in many degrees. So I'm much better off than just guessing. I'm now going to take that line and transfer it to the mouth. Okay, look at that. There's the line angle. There's my canine that's going to support me in the other dimension, and I'm pretty stable. I can now go ahead and make my cut. Guide plane, making it wider, making it parallel to the other tooth here, and then these will act as a way to guide us into the right place. I'm going to cut rest seats. Remember from our surveying that we made a indirect retention on the first premolar. So I'm going to cut both of those right now for efficiency reasons. Just like the first video, we're going to cut 1.5 in depth towards the pulp on the mesial wall, okay, of number 20. There we go. Now I'm going to cut 2 millimeters into the pulp, towards the pulp, creating almost a spoon-like form. Now here's my indirect retention. Pretty fast. This doesn't take forever. Great. I've got my forms. I may need to just remove a little bit with some polish when we're done, but that's a good form. Okay, gives us a good look at the teeth from the behind. Now, we're going to cut on the canine. The canine is a little bit more tricky because there's pulp nearby and there's not a whole lot of dentin or enamel. I have to be very conservative. We don't cut more than 1.5. We generally stay about 1 to 1.5. We cut a little bit of a chevron form, mostly due to the natural anatomy of the tooth. We're creating a big cingulum is what we're really doing. In this case, I am going to de-roof for unsupported enamel reasons, and it'll also give me a little bit more space for my metal work, which will sit in that rest seat. Okay, I'm going to de-roof just a little bit, which will allow me a little bit more surface area because I can't cut in so deep on this tooth. I'm concerned. More surface area allows me to not go in as deep. But I still need to do an angle towards the pulp that is less than 90 degrees. Okay, air, blow off some of that dust, and we'll get a good look at what we've got. Good. There we go. Okay, this will allow us to have our rests. We've done our guide planes. But we still have that problem with the undercut. We're fine on the canine based on our guide planes that we've cut, but we're not fine on the premolar. So how do we manage that? Remember, we only wanted to cut in for the number 1 undercut gauge, 0.25 millimeters. So I'll use my perio probe. I'll measure about what a millimeter is, and I'll try to divide that in my mind by 4 to see how much I have to reduce. This is a fine diamond burr that I'm going to use here to just kind of nudge into that tooth. You'll notice here I am a little bit more mesial than I really should be. I really should be cutting this a little bit more distal. Okay? Cutting a little more distal would allow us to disengage more when we bite down in the back using the class 2 leverage. Likely I'm in line with the axis of rotation, but it does feel like I'm a little mesial. So I would encourage us to learn from my error here and go a little bit more distal. Okay? So we're just going to polish that out. Only going in about 0.25 millimeters and we're good to go.